New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring. We invite you to join our prayer broadcast every day at 8:15 a.m. and 8:15 p.m. Mountain Time. Send us your prayer requests or schedule a private prayer session by emailing prayer@ntmedia.org. And now, it's time to pray together.
Hello, folks. Welcome. It is time for morning prayer for Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. My name is Muro. I'm a prayer practitioner here on the New Thought Media Network, and I am honored and delighted to be able to spend this time with you in prayer. So if there is anything at all that you would like prayer for, whether it's something that you are celebrating or something that you want to manifest to a greater degree, or something that is limiting you that you want to release, whatever it might be, prayer is a great idea. So you can either put something into the comments if you're watching this live, and I would be more than happy to hold your intention. If I don't see it by the time I start praying, know that I always check afterwards so that I can hold your intention. Or, if you prefer, you can send a request here online at www.ntmedia.org/prayer. We have a family of ministers and practitioners who are delighted to hold your intention. So, this morning, my inspiration came from this source. So this is a wonderful book called Begin with Yes, Dream with Intention. And to be perfectly honest, this is really meant to be something that you would read at night. And it's a wonderful way to kind of reset your thinking. But I also find that many things that Paul Boynton writes in this book, they're good at any time of the day. So I wanted to share this one with you. He said, there are things that you already know, yet haven't allowed yourself to fully see. Simply asking yourself the question, what do I know that I haven't let myself see, is the way to discover deep truths that can change your life in wonderful ways. I know for myself that there are definitely things that I know that I haven't truly allowed into my psyche, or into, not so much into my psyche, but into how I relate to the world, how I relate to circumstances and conditions, how I relate to myself even. So some people call these warning flags. Some people talk about having this feeling that's just something's not quite as it should be, or this idea that they're holding themselves back in some way. These are all things that are ways in which we hide our own truth from ourselves. So I'll invite you to consider that as we go into prayer. Hello, Jean. Good to have you here. Welcome. So I'll invite you to soften your gaze or close your eyes, whichever is comfortable and safe for you to do, so that you can put aside any distraction, put aside anything that came before this moment, anything that's going to follow, and just allow yourself to be here in the now. And so I hold this truth as I begin my prayer today. And that is that everything everything that is within me is here to bring me to the fullness of my life, to bring me to the fullness of my experience of life. And while what exists outside of me might not seem to be in accord with that at all at times, whether it's illness or it's loss or it's something that evokes an angry response or a fearful response. While these things certainly do occur, they do not speak to my truth. And so when I look at these things, I ask myself, what is my truth here in this moment? What is my truth here in this circumstance or in this condition? What is it that I am holding back from myself? What is it that I am believing that is not my truth? I recognize that as I go through life, many, many different influences come my way. I recognize that as I began my life in this plane, that what I had been given as my birthright, not as something I needed to learn, not as something I needed to earn, not something I needed to beg for, or even develop, was my connection to the One. My ability to be part of the One. Because that is literally how I was created, as is the truth for each and every one of us. And so having that knowledge, recognizing that each of us was created in and of and by love, means that each of us has access to so much more than what we see and what we recognize with our human eyes. We have within us a connection to the wisdom of the universe. We have within us a connection that allows us to empathize, that allows us to feel more deeply, that allows us to be compassionate, both for ourselves and for others. And so when I look at these truths, I recognize that how I live my life is completely dependent upon my awareness of these abilities. How many times do I say, I don't know if I can do this? How many times have I said, I don't know if I'm good enough? How many times have I said, I don't know that what I have to say is going to make a difference? But I do know that when I attune my thinking to the truth of who I am, I recognize that I am the beloved of the beloved, as is true for each and every one of us. I recognize that I have something unique that I can bring to this world, as does each and every one of us. I know that I have been created perfect, whole, and complete, as everyone that has ever been created, ever will be created, is also. And so with that knowledge, I see that there are so many times when I am looking at falsehoods, I'm looking at things that are limiting beliefs. I am not looking at those things that are truly a part of who and whose I am. And so I recognize that as I explore, as I dig deeper into my life, as I dig deeper into those things that have formed my opinions, the things that have formed my attitudes, the things that have formed even my biases, because each of us, I'll speak purely for myself, I know that despite my best intentions, there are still biases. And a bias can be for something good, if you will, as opposed to something that's negative. But a bias is still a bias. It is therefore not a truth. And so I allow myself to discern. I allow myself to use the wisdom that is an innate part of who and whose I am. I allow myself the curiosity to explore. I allow myself the openness to consider different possibilities, to consider different perspectives, because all of this is part of the wisdom, part of the brilliance that has been given to each and every one of us. And so by holding to that truth, by holding to the knowledge of that wholeness, that perfection, that completeness, I know without a doubt that each and every opportunity that comes my way, whether it feels like an invitation or it feels like an obstacle, each and every one of those situations has something to offer to me. Each and one of those situations has something that I can learn from, something that I can grow with, something that I can celebrate, something that can key me into what needs to be released. Because so much of what I need in my life is not necessarily what I'm adding in, but rather what I am taking out, what I am releasing, what no longer serves, what is indeed not part of my truth. And so today's prayer comes from that place of knowing. It comes from that place of confidence. It comes from that place of, dare I say it, joy in recognizing that the truth does indeed set you free. And so today is a day of freedom. Freedom from fear.
Here's what I found.
Freedom from doubt. Freedom from concern. Because we accept, open, and recognize all that is within, allowing that to shine in this world. It is in that confidence and in that joy and in that thanksgiving that I can release this word. I can release it to the law, because I know that the law always says yes. And so it is. Hey, it's all love. Hi, happy Wednesday to you as well. Sorry about that interruption there, folks. That was Alexa deciding that I was asking it a question. I can't say her name out loud. So, technology, I love it. All right, folks. Make sure today that you see your truth. Look in the mirror. Look at yourself and recognize that you are magnificent. Recognize that you are loved. Recognize that you are love itself. Have a magnificent day. I'll see you somewhat soon. Until then, be well. Namaste.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network. Come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace and blessings.